is here today. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Rules Policy and Industrial Relations Committee for Friday, October 27th. It is 9:02 a.m. Um, Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Thank you, and good morning, everyone. I'm going to start with Director Conroy. Is absent. Director Grosboll is absent. Director Hill. Director Maston. Director Parr is absent. Vice Chair Garbarino.
Here.
Chair Hernandez.
Here.
President Terrio. Here. Thank you. You have a quorum. You are not a committee of the whole yet, so I'll keep it in mind for one more individual joining. But also in the room, we have Directors Cochran, Rabbit, Berdoni, and Thier. Would you like me to confirm staff?
Sure.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Let me start with Dennis Mulligan.
Present.
Joe Wire. David Bauer Furbish is not here, but we have John Eberly here in his place. There you go. Thank you. And Kim Manolius. Thank you. Dave Rivera. Thank you. Kelly Hopper. And Mike Hoffman. Thank you. I confirm staff in the room.
Thank you very much. We have one item on the agenda today. It is the compensation study. And Kelly Hopper, our Deputy General Manager for Administration Development, is going to start us off here. Good morning, Kelly. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Hernandez. I'm bringing an item to you today. It's really informational and really seeking to guide your input and some discussion. And I'll present my part of it, and then I know Dennis will probably have some comments or some corrections or additions to make as I go along. We're sharing results of a recent comprehensive compensation study that we did for the organization. And I will go a little bit into it and tell you a little bit about the background, what the findings were, and then some different areas that we would probably need some input. So, I'm sorry. Am I supposed to put this somewhere particularly? So I just gave you the background. So a little bit from the background is we're on slide 3 for anybody who prefers to look at their paper. The district contracted with a firm that is actually quite well versed and very well known and has a reputation for compensation studies in the region, Sloan Sakai. This actual consultant we've used for the last, I believe, 3 or 4 compensation studies. Very familiar with the district, its uniqueness, some of the complexity and uniqueness of positions, as well as the classifications that we have here, as well as the surrounding areas. We provided them with 2 major sources of pieces of information. One was the current job description. So prior to us going out, we asked all the managers to make sure that the job descriptions were updated for their employees, because that's what we were going to use as the basis for our study. So we gave them the job descriptions and those associated materials that were associated with that, as well as what the current compensation and pay rate was for those employees. I think it's important to note, because oftentimes people think that we're matching job descriptions or job titles to job titles. That is not the case. Job titles are different depending on the organization, as you know. So the consultant used the essential skills and responsibilities for each job. So whereas we might call an office specialist here in the organization, it might be called office technician or a secretary in another one. So we didn't match job titles. We matched essential skills and responsibilities for each position. So we had 3 major objectives. One was, are we competitive? Are we staying competitive within our marketplace? And that's that first bullet where it says, where are we marking from the average versus the median? One of our second objective was, are we aligned in the marketplace in terms of our pay structure? Are we reflective of what the other folks are doing that are within our universe, our methodology universe? And then finally is, as you all know, we have some very unique positions here in the organization, just because the uniqueness of our operations. And how can we ensure that those unique positions in the organization we're staying competitive for them? For instance, let me give you a good example. Most transportation organizations does not have an engineering department. understandably why. Also, most transportation systems don't have an electronic toll revenue system. So there's some uniqueness that we had, and what we tried to do is we could not find good matches for that. So how can we measure that those jobs are competitive within a marketplace given the limited number of comparables that we had? So those were our three objectives as we were moving forward. Now, the findings. So let me talk a little bit about that. So in terms of the findings, we actually surveyed 9 of our partner agencies in the region. And there's some question, why did we survey those? Why were those of the 9? And there's a couple reasons. Number one is in consultation with our consultant, one of the main things that they like to do in studies like this is you need to find comparables of agencies or companies that are most reflective of the work that you do. Number one, it gives you a lot more opportunity to have matches, better matches that we talk about, and that they're similar in structure and sometimes in organizational alignment. So one of the things is did it closely reflect the district's nature? Is it a public transit agency? Is it a public administration? Where I think you saw East Bay Mud and a few of the others on there before. Another one is it similar in either population, staff, or operational budgets? So in our region. So is it again aligned to who we are, as well as is it geographically aligned in terms of competitiveness? And then lastly, you're going to hear me say this a couple times, and I apologize. Is we do have some specialized positions. Those were extremely difficult, if not impossible, to match with our methodology universe. So we had to actually extend out a little bit farther and try to find some additional potential matches. As you saw, we tried to reach out to some of the ferry systems in the different areas of Washington State was one of them. Didn't have as good as success as we would hope, but we were trying to make sure that we had the most information, the most data points available that we could to provide good matches. So the process, again, like I said, is really the consultant as part of their industry standard of good practices to have a minimum of 3 matches. And for those that we couldn't find good matches within our methodology, our nine agency methodology, looking elsewhere to help us fill out that data a little more. So now to the summary. I'll start with a good news right off the bat. So we did 2. We based on compensation, the average and the median. The median was the middle point. The average was the sum divided by the number of data points that we had. But I'm pleased to report that overall, the district is highly competitive or competitive of their job positions in this area. I really think it's incumbent upon me. I think it's a reflection of this board, and I think that you all should be commended that you've allowed this organization to stay in a very competitive place. A lot of people like working here for a variety of reasons, but that we've stayed competitive, and I really think that's a reflection of you and your commitment to staff. So thank you. So by and large, we're in a good spot overall in the findings. Let me split it up by represented classifications and unrepresented. So you can see, on the represented side, again, we're highly competitive. It's a competitive field that we're in terms of our salaries. Let me just point out here briefly. You'll see 2 data points here. One is, so we looked at the median, and then we looked at it when we account for PEPRA, because that compensation benefit is a little bit different than our classic. So you'll see if you look on the classic, it's a little richer, understandably, because that's that 2.5 and 55 formula versus the PEPRA formula, which is 2 and 62, or the reciprocity 2 and 60. But again, even accounting for that, it's still our representative classifications are in a highly competitive state. Our non-representatives, again, they're still competitive as defined by industry standards. Industry standards is plus minus 5% is defined as competitive as part of that's kind of an industry norm. And again, in this case, for our non-representatives, even with our PEPRA, which is a little less, like I said, the 2 and 62 formula, it still is defined within that competitive framework. Now, I would like to just briefly, as I'm going through, I talked a little bit about this. Is I wanted to share with you the classifications in the organization that are 10% or greater under market, as that was defined under this. And in our representative classification, we actually only had one classification group, and that was our bus operators. Um, However, I should say, however, I should say, and if you look at our bus drivers, that's based looking only at the hourly wage. It's not looking at the pay formula the district has for our bus operators. So this really is just looking at hourly wage and comparing apples to apples with the other ones. It does not account for the pay formula with the other comparison population. That's the only represented classification that is more than 10% under market in our representative classifications. Now, in our non-rep, we have a few more, and like I said, these are the ones that are 10% or greater under market. Some of these jobs, as you've heard me parrot here a few minutes ago, they're unique, so it's really hard to try to find comparators. Some of them are high demand in the business world. You'll see some of these ones. You can look right down through here. You would all know that some of these are in very high demand positions, and so that's really driven some of the compensation up as well. By and large, though, when you're looking at, I believe that we reviewed 184 classifications. There are not a lot of positions here, a lot of classifications that are significantly out of market. So we're pleased with what the findings were, but we really are. We wanted to disclose where we are right now and give you the data. And Dennis, do you have anything you'd like to follow?
Yeah, I just want to remind the board, particularly for the newer board members, decades ago, the district never did salary surveys, or if they did them, they kept them locked in a drawer that no one knew about or saw. And so many years ago, we realized that that's not a good way to run a business. So every 3 years, we do a salary survey. We think it's important to see where we are and then publicly share with our employees, the public, and everybody, how are we doing? So that's kind of what we've done. Historically, this organization has not had a compensation policy. Your predecessors have said, we want to be in the ballpark. We don't want to be the highest. We don't want to be the lowest. That's a pretty nebulous and broad band. And there may be a lot of reasons why that may have made sense and may still today. But many organizations, both public and private, do have compensation policies. I just want to highlight that we don't have one here. And that's something you may want to think about. With respect to the classifications that are out of whack, as Kelly said, we have over 180 classifications. And so we have, 2 handfuls that are way out of whack. What we've done historically is for those that are like 20% out of whack, we've come back to you at a future board meeting saying, we need to do something about this. Or obviously in negotiations, people will say, your own data shows, and that's always very helpful. But I just wanted to highlight that the importance of this is that we are honest with ourselves and our employees and our ratepayers about how are we doing. We want to be competitive. We need to be able to recruit and retain people in this environment. And so it's important to disclose kind of where we're at and then to kind of tee it up if there's, what you do elsewhere. Is it something that you want us to come back at a future meeting to consider doing here, or just continue down our current path of every 3 years publicly showing this, fixing things through negotiations, or, for non-reps that are really bad, like 20%, coming back at a future meeting saying, hey, this isn't right, because if someone's been here for a long time, they may have our golden handcuffs on, but if they leave, we won't be able to fill it unless we fix it, so we should fix it before they leave. We should treat people right. And as Kelly said, kudos to the board, because we have so many classifications, because we have so many divergent businesses between bridge, bus, ferry, electronic revenues, planning. We do a lot of different businesses. It's amazing that we actually have so few that are kind of out of whack. So it's just something to present to you, to have some conversation, and just to see if you have any questions.
Thank you, Kelly, for your report, and Dennis for your comments. Looking around the table, I see Director Hill. Please go ahead.
Kelly, I think it was slide 13. You said that the bus operator was salary. How about comparing with PAC?
I'll jump in. So our bus driver, the hourly, we heard ourselves recruiting for bus operators. One of our newest operators, he's been here 7 months, pointed this out to me the other day, is our hourly wage when we say it's $34 and so many cents an hour isn't really what their paycheck reflects, because they do work long days and there's various things baked into the pay formula that appropriately reward them for the jobs they do, but it's not baked into our hourly wage rate. But every time we sit down with the bus operator, we talk about compensation during negotiations. But on an hourly wage rate, if you compare our hourly rate to, his.
Hi, all. Thanks for your patience. Just having some connection issues. Hang on one moment.
Justine, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Thanks. So I'll restate it. So our bus drivers' pay is based on a pay rate, but it's not times 2,080 hours a year. It's times a formula that takes into effect the length of the day and what they do during that length of day. So if you go to the state controller's website and look at our bus drivers' actual pay, not just the total compensation, it's not 14% low compared to our peer agencies. But it is something that we talk about at negotiations each time. We negotiated a contract earlier this calendar year with the ATU, and both parties, I think, felt good about the agreement. But if you look at, some of our sister agencies are stated hourly wage rate is higher than ours, but that doesn't take into account the pay formula. And our pay formula is more generous to our employees than many of those agencies' pay formula is. It's really complicated. It's by far the most complicated. The next one that's comes nowhere close is probably deckhands, where there's some things that the pay formula gives them extra that's not reflected in the hourly rate. But for the bus drivers, it's a big chunk of most drivers' pay is the extra things that are derived from the pay formula, and they deserve it. And they work hard for it. But so we wanted to acknowledge that our wage rate is low compared to others, but that there is a pay formula that requires more detailed analysis. Something that we had the pleasure of sitting down with Shane and David and others doing every 3 years. We just want to be transparent with everything we do. And so that's why we think it's important to put this out there. It's important to show that on the hourly wage rate, we are low for our bus operators.
Moving on to Director Garbarino. You had a comment or question?
Thank you so
Or
much.
maybe we need to hold.
Okay.
Do we need to hold? We need to hold. Sorry, just 1 second.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for your patience. We'll be reconnecting very soon. Our boardroom is getting used to all of us being back on site. Thanks, everyone. Thank you for your continued patience, everybody. Hi, if I could ask you to please make sure that your phone is muted, that would be great. Thank you. And they have paused the meeting, so we're not missing the meeting. Thanks for your patience. Hi, everyone. I just want you to know that they're on break until the sound is fixed, so we are not missing the meeting. We are just having some difficulties actually inside the room with our speaker system, so we'll be back up and running very shortly. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your continued patience, everybody. We should be reconnecting shortly.
Hey, Justine, can you hear us?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
All right.
Good morning. Hello, everyone.
Oh, sorry.
I'm
Now-
speaking out of this.
Now we're
Okay, I'm
speaking
not
into
doing
this,
that.
yes, so
Okay.
you don't have to turn it on.
All right. Hello. Hopefully everyone can hear me. Good morning. Back to the meeting. Thank you to our tech folks for helping us through this little glitch. Apologize for the delay, but it seems like we're back rolling. So we were just finishing up with comments from the board, and the next person to speak is Director Barbarino. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I absolutely love what you did. I think that's a great idea, especially in this time of trying to get employees. It's very difficult for absolutely every sector, and they're already with their phones doing the analysis anyway, right? And have you ever dealt with, I apologize to a millennial who already knows the information and they're starting the negotiations in prospective job with you in that regard. It does keep us competitive. I love it. And it's defensible to the ratepayer. I know that's my world as well. You've got to explain why you're moving someone up or whatever. I think a policy is really important, and I would endorse that. That's also defensible, and it's a guideline. Because I wrote everything down you said, Dennis, but when you get beyond 3 bullets, you kind of lost people's attention. And if you have a policy, you can say, it's right here. We've thought about it. It's been well vetted, and let's do it. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other directors with comments? Yes, Director Gressel.
Yeah, thank you. Of the 9 positions that are listed as underpaid, are any of those vacant right now?
No, we just filled the environmental health and safety officer last week. So all of these positions are filled, I believe.
So is there any specific plan on to address these 9 positions?
We came to the board today.
So what we've done in the past is, we present the information, we come back a month or 2 later and we say, hey, the ones that are way out of whack, we have a duty to fix them. It's not fair to people. And so we present it and we try to bring them up, and we didn't necessarily bring them all the way, but we brought them a lot closer when we've done it historically. So we can do that, but separately, I think Director Garbarino raises a good point. If there's an interest in the board, we can come forward at a future meeting with a compensation policy. We can look at, our neighbors like Marin County, Sonoma County, San Francisco County to see what compensation policies they have. We can present those to you just kind of as maybe bookends or some talking points, and then maybe propose some concepts that are real simple for a compensation policy, so that it's something for the board to consider and perhaps adopt at a future rules committee meeting.
Thank you.
If I might just comment on that, you're going to smile or laugh at this comment, but those of us did think we had a policy. We're not paying the highest and we're not paying the lowest. So. Anyway, thank you. I do support a more detailed policy.
Thank you, Director Gressel. Did I see your hand up, Director Terry? Mr.
You saw
President?
me thinking of putting my hand up. So
Okay.
I'll go ahead and talk anyway then. I would ask that, and maybe this is what you were describing, but I'll make it more specific, that come to us in 2 steps. And first of all, we see what has been done elsewhere, and we have a chance to discuss about that, and you to get a feel for the room and what our thoughts are before you then attempt to draft a policy to bring before us.
Agreed.
Okay.
Thank you for that suggestion. Yes, Director
Sorry to ask
Gressel.
another one, but with respect to your comment about the bus driver position, and in fact, maybe we're not promoting it as well as we could. Do we still have openings in the bus driver positions that
Yes.
we can't fill?
Yes. I
That's
mean,
what I was thinking. Yeah.
many classifications are difficult to fill and others are really easy to fill right now based on the overlying market. But nationwide, there's a shortage of bus operators. We're struggling, and we need to do everything we can to be competitive. We're fortunate that in partnership with ATU Local 1575 and the community colleges, we have an apprenticeship program and a pre-apprenticeship program. So we're doing everything we can, but we need to do a better job of marketing. And clearly, whenever we sit down at the table, they'll remind us that we also need to be competitive so that we can hire and retain people.
Mr. President.
I know because of old ties to the country that problem extends into Canada as well.
Any other questions or comments, board? Your microphone's not working anymore. We're using the pucks.
The box.
The pucks, the little pucks.
The little pucks in front of you. But they can hear you fine. What they're telling me that they can hear
Okay,
you
so
fine.
no point in pushing.
So Director Garbarino.
Just a little add-on. Dennis mentioned the apprenticeship program. Those of us that were lucky enough to be at the safety rodeo, it was just huge. The smiles on the faces of those young people, and that whole movement toward not everyone wants to go to college. So giving them that opportunity and that training early on benefits both.
Thank you, Director. Any other questions? Yes, Director Thier.
I'll add on a comment and just say that I wanted to echo the comments about the safety rodeo. It was amazing. I'm also very happy that the district is doing this, and I want to give congratulations to our chair, Director Hernandez, because this is so important. And I had to laugh when Director Garbarino talked about the millennials, because I have people at the first job interview where I barely said hello and my name negotiating. And
the information they have is spot on, and it's really important for us to have a baseline for when we are hiring and training our employees.
Director Thayer. Any other directors with comments or questions? Okay, I think we have a couple of public speakers on this item.
We do.
I'd like to call first John Holden.
All right. Justine, I believe Mr. Holden is on your line there. Can you go ahead and ask Mr. Holden to begin?
Yes, I can. Mr. Holden, go ahead, please. John Holden.
Okay, yes. Hi, my name is John Holden. I'm a bus operator. I'd like to comment on the compensation report. The compensation report, if you look at pages 29 and 30, spell out classic members versus Peppra members, bus operators. The district is correct where the main issue with the pay formula is the district has a 1 hour and 15-minute non-paid called split, whereas other agencies have 2 hours, 2.5 hours non-paid split. This bumps up our salary significantly. But the reason I'm calling is those are apples to oranges, but what is apples to apples is the bus operator classic versus the bus operator Peppra. So you have a 7%, and then you have the Peppra 14.4%. That disparity in income for doing the same job is, I believe, attributed to maybe pension contributions and other things. So I would look at that piece because the diversity, equity, inclusion piece and the wonderful mentorship program are bringing in workers that are going to be paying for unfunded liabilities and are really not aware of the financial situation that they're taking on when they walk in the door of Golden Gate Transit. So I would look at that piece, and I also would say that I didn't see a general deputy manager compensation piece on the report. Maybe I missed it, but I would say we need a competitive rate there with a well-rounded candidate that can manage not from 30,000 feet, but can really manage the operations and manage the agency and represent the agency at SPUR and MTA and other agencies, and be just a well-rounded candidate so we can have a stable and safe workplace. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Holden. The next speaker is Shane Weinstein. Good morning.
Good morning. Shane Weinstein, President, ATU 1575. It's nice to see everybody in person at this table here. I just wanted to point out a couple things really quick. And when Mr. Hill asked about the pay formula, I just wanted to kind of clarify a couple things from the bus division standards. First of all, I want to echo all the comments about the pre-apprenticeship. I think it's an amazing thing. I go to all of the meetings. I can't wait to kind of see how that blossoms. It's also going to take a while, in my opinion, to see some of these people who are happy to be here and have gone through the program to tell their friends and tell those people that are in the community so we can start seeing some more numbers come in from there. But I do need to kind of point out the fact that I believe it needs to be supplemented by an aggressive marketing campaign. And that's not what I'm seeing right now. And that's not what I've seen for a long time. We have buses going down the road with nothing on the side of them. It's free marketing right there. Let's throw something on the side that we're hiring somebody. So while the pay formula can make extra money, I need to be very clear that we spend multiple hours per day at work extra than people do at BART, Muni, AC Transit, VTA, any of them. We're spending multiple hours, 3, 4, 5 hours per day at work to make up that same amount of money. That's what the pay formula does. I have other units that I do represent. Some of them are about 1 hour and 45 minutes. You're not always off the clock for 2 hours and 15 minutes. They also have penalty time. It's very generous like we do. So to be competitive, we need to be at work multiple hours per day more. What does that do? What does that do for us? It creates more injury. It creates more drivers not coming to work. It creates the inability to hire and keep people here. It creates the lack of being able to hire, because when people look and they see somebody making $45 an hour and here we're making $34 an hour, it's going to be tough to even get them in the door, right? So while we do spend a lot of time at work and we do make a lot of money, we do that because we're here for so long. And I need to be very clear, penalty time at Muni, penalty time at AC Transit, please look into that as well. It is extremely generous. They spend much less time and make just as much money. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mr. Weinstein. Anyone else from the public like to address the board on this item?
We have no other speakers, but if you could give us one moment since we have some time. Justine, would you like to poll one more time just in case there's a speaker on your line?
Certainly, thank you. Is there anyone that's joined us that would like to speak this morning on this item or under public comment? Please use ** to unmute yourself and let me know. Okay, I'm not hearing anyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Justine. So it seems apparent that further discussion is required on this item, and further information would be appreciated by the board before making any formal, having any formal discussion regarding a policy. So I'll thank in advance Kelly and all your team and Dennis for doing that legwork and getting that research together for us so we can make an informed, a good decision. It seems also apparent to me that there needs to be some level of attention paid to deciphering and helping us to understand the ATU pay formula. There were several questions at the board here, and I had questions myself that I was asking of Dennis during the break to try to help me understand the pay formula for the operators. So perhaps some more information can be presented at that follow-up meeting as well. Yes, Director Grossbull.
Could we add to that, sort of that comment that was just made about what we might do better as marketing to get more bus drivers, what we're doing and what we could do more of, such as his suggestion or whatever. But just seems like we might need a plan if we are still short bus drivers.
Thank you, Director Grossbull. And I apologize for not allowing our general manager to make comments after the public comment. So if you have any, I'll ask you to go ahead and share those.
I'd like to thank Shane for his comments because, bus driver pay is complicated every place, and I appreciate his frustration on what we can and cannot do for marketing. So we'll look at what we can do to expand our efforts. Because since we have a shortage, we should be reaching out. We need to reach out where potential people are. Junior colleges is one place. Working with community-based organizations is another. So I'll sit down with Kelly and her team to see what we might be able to do differently. And we'll report back on that at a future meeting in terms of bus driver marketing, what other agencies do for pay formulas, and as well as we'll do a presentation on our bus driver pay formula.
That's great. Thank you, Dennis. Anyone else with last comments? Director Tier.
Yes, I have one comment. Our general manager discussed a lot of the things I was going to ask about in terms of the pay formula and getting information on that at the next meeting. But one of the things I thought was a really good idea that Mr. Weinstein brought up was when we have not sold space on the bus, so that when it's just empty and we haven't sold that ad space, I do think something that says that we're hiring should just automatically put on, if that's possible. Again, that's when we haven't sold the space. I don't want to decrease our revenue, but we should not also send around blank buses when we could be putting ads up for hiring our operators.
Thank you. Any other last comments or questions? Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. That ends the business of this committee today. Motion to adjourn. Thank you. Is there a second? Second. Is there anyone objecting to adjourning this meeting? Seeing no objections, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.